Hello students, a very good evening to all and welcome back to Daily Current Affairs of 25th of June. So for today's discussion, we have three important articles from The Hindu. So first article is related to recent earthquakes in Venezuela. Second article is very important from science and technology point of view. So this is the Fragile X syndrome. So nowadays UPSC focuses more on the recent diseases as well as syndromes which are asked in exam. So that's why this article becomes important. And final article discusses that whether passport can be used as a proof of citizenship or not. And finally, we will be practicing two questions. So quickly, let's start our first article. So this first article is related to recent series of earthquakes in Venezuela. So, if we talk about the context, so on 24th of June 2026, two earthquakes created massive disaster in Venezuela, and the magnitude was also huge. Magnitude was 7.1 as well as 7.5. So, the earthquakes, if we talk about the magnitude, so magnitude of the earthquakes, if it is more than 7, then it is considered very severe earthquake. So, first of all, we must know that this is not the first instance when the earthquakes took place in Venezuela. So why Venezuela is facing the repeated series of earthquakes over a period of time? What is the reason for that? So here the answer lies in plate tectonics. Here the answer lies in plate tectonics. Why? See, if we look towards the location of Venezuela, so Venezuela is located somewhere here. So Venezuela is located along the boundary of Caribbean plate as well as South American plate. So now here you got the answer that the reason that Venezuela is more prone to earthquakes is the plate tectonics. Which two plates are involved? Two plates are Caribbean plate as well as South American plate. Now you have to know the second answer, that what kind of interaction is between these two plates, whether it is convergent, whether it is divergent, or whether it is transform or transverse kind of movement. So see, it will clear from this diagram. See, in this diagram, this is Caribbean plate and this is South American plate, and this is the location of Venezuela. So these arrows will easily show you what is the meaning of these arrows, that there is transform or transverse kind of movement. That means the plates are on the same plane but they are moving past each other. So neither they are converging nor they are diverging, they are just moving past to each other. So see, you can take the example of two wooden blocks or two bricks. So if we are rubbing two bricks together, if friction will be generated between those two bricks and the energy which is logged, no, it will come out after some time and it will come out in the form of earthquake. So similar thing happened in the case of Venezuela. So this is the reason why Venezuela is more prone to earthquakes. Now, if we look after the other details, so if we talk about the magnitude, as we discussed in the context also, so here the magnitude is 7.1 as well as 7.5. That means both earthquakes were of serious category. Now, please tell me in the comment section that which instrument is used to measure the vibrations of the earthquakes. Second thing, tell me which scale is used to measure the magnitude of earthquakes. After that, tell me which scale is used to measure the intensity of earthquakes. So these three things you have to tell me in the comment section. Now let's discuss about the epicenter. So in case of Venezuela, the epicenter was located near Moron. Moron is located near the Caribbean coast in Venezuela. So let's have a basic idea about the epicenter. For example, this is your Earth's surface. And for example, this is a point inside the Earth's surface from where the earthquake waves have originally originated. So this is the point where the waves originated, and the point just above the focus is known as epicenter. So epicenter is the point just above the focus on the Earth's surface. So here, in this case, epicenter was located in Moron. Now, let's have a basic idea about the types of focuses, because this will tell you whether the earthquake was serious or not. So see, if we talk about the focus, that means point inside the Earth's surface where the waves have originally originated. So here we will be having shallow, intermediate as well as deep focus. So see, here I took the example of convergent plates. So for example, this is oceanic plate. This is continental plate. So oceanic plate is very dense, that's why it will subduct near inside the continental plate, below the continental plate. And see, this complete region will be the region of interaction. So earthquakes will be generated in this region only. So see, the earthquakes which are generated near the surface of the earth, those are known as the shallow focus earthquakes. And which ones are generated and very deep inside the earth's surface, they will be known as deep focus. So please remember, the earthquakes which are generated from the shallow focus point, they are of much severe category than those of deep focus. The reason is, if earthquake waves are generated very near to the ground, then it is very easy for them to reach to the ground with same intensity. But if earthquake waves are originated very deep inside the ground, they will take a lot of time to reach the earth's surface, and by that time their energy will be dissipated. Here the energy will be concentrated, but for the deep focus earthquakes, the energy will be dissipated. So please remember, mostly if the earthquakes are of very serious, if they are of no category magnitude of 7 or 8, then most probably 80 or 85% chances are there that those earthquakes will be of shallow focus category. So I think we have discussed each and everything about this earthquake. Now, next coming to the fragile X syndrome. So if we discuss about the fragile X syndrome, if we talk about the prelims points, what are important? So please remember for the prelims that this is an inherited syndrome or inherited disease. Please remember. So a fragile X syndrome is the most common inherited cause of intellectual disability in human beings. So one of the cause of intellectual disability is the fragile X syndrome, and it is also one of the causes of autism spectrum disorder. So see, if we talk about the intellectual disability, so maybe the behavioral characteristics of child is very different from other normal childs, or maybe the learning capacity of child is very slow or very poor compared to other child. So these all things will come under the intellectual disability category. Now let's discuss about how this thing happen, how fragile X syndrome can occur. So see, to understand this fragile X syndrome, you must have the idea of some of the basics. Basics like you must have the idea of DNA, then idea of gene, and then you must have the idea of chromosome. So see, we will discuss everything in brief. So see, if we talk about gene, so if you talk about DNA, so as you already know that DNA is responsible for the genetic characteristics in human body, genetic characteristics. So if we talk about DNA, so DNA is a double-stranded molecule, right? So DNA is responsible for your genetic characteristics, and it is a double-stranded molecule. And these strands of DNA are made of bases, right? What are those bases? Adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. So these are the nitrogenous bases which are present in DNA. If we talk about gene, so what is a gene? Gene is one of the part of DNA. So DNA will be having number of genes. For example, one gene will be responsible for your eyes color, or one gene will be responsible for your hair color, or some of the genes will be responsible for metabolism in your body, etc., etc. So this we discussed about DNA, this we discussed about gene. Now see, as you already know that gene is a part of DNA. Now these genes will be responsible for manufacturing many proteins. So one gene will be manufacturing certain kind of protein, and that protein will be responsible to various functions in your body. For example, how your metabolism is working, how the hormones are functioning in your body, how the color of your eyes, what is the color of your hair. All these things will be regulated through proteins which are manufactured by the gene, which are part of DNA. Now, as you already know that the length of DNA is very huge, right? DNA is a very long structure. So in order to concise that DNA in a very small space inside the nucleus, because as you already know this, for example, this is a cell. Inside the cell, you have small nucleus, and inside the nucleus, you have very big DNA. So if you want to concise that DNA in a very small space inside the nucleus, so you will concise it, you will give it a proper shape, and that shape will be known as chromosome. So that's why chromosome have this kind of shape. So in this shape, DNA will be concised and it can be put together inside the nucleus. So basically, if you talk about DNA, gene and chromosome, so all these three things are responsible for the genetic characteristics in human body. Understood? Now, having discussed about the basics, let's discuss how fragile X syndrome works or how this syndrome occurs. So see, what will happen? No, inside the human body, we have one gene, and that gene is known as FMR1 gene. FMR full form is Fragile X Messenger ribonucleoprotein 1 gene. In short, we will call it as FMR gene. So in human body, we have one gene that is known as FMR gene, and this gene is responsible to manufacture one protein, and that protein is known as FMR protein. Just now we discussed that every gene will be making protein. That protein will regulate different functions in body. So similarly, in human body, FMR1 gene is responsible to manufacture one protein, that is the FMR protein, and the function of this FMR protein is to regulate the normal functioning or normal development of human brain. So because of this protein only, different brain cells will be able to communicate with each other. So this is the normal functioning. Now what will happen in Fragile X syndrome? See, this is the normal condition, right? That in normal condition, we have one FMR1 gene, which will be making FMR1 protein. So if we talk about the normal condition, no, when FMR1 gene is stable, so in that condition, FMR1 gene will be having 5 to 44 CGG repeats. What is the CGG? Just now we discussed that DNA is made up of 4 kind of nitrogenous bases: adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. So if we talk about FMR1 gene, so it will contain the repetitions of cytosine and 2-guanine. So basically, cytosine and 2-guanine, these things will be repeated around 5 to 44 times in human body. So if the repetition is 5 to 44 times of CGG, then this is considered as good or normal functioning of human brain. But if we talk about the Fragile X syndrome, when this syndrome occurs, so this sequence of cytosine guanine sequence, this is repeated more than 200 times in human body. And because of that, this FMR1 gene will be silenced, or this will become inactive. And if a gene has become inactive, then that gene will not be able to make protein in human body. And if protein is not made, then brain cells will not be able to communicate with each other. And because of that only, this syndrome occurs. And what is the name of that syndrome? Fragile X syndrome. Understood? That because of a few mutations which are occurring in gene, because of that mutation, FMR1 gene will be deactivated, and hence FMR protein will not be created. Okay, now let's discuss that why we call it as Fragile X syndrome. Why we call? So see, as you already know, we discussed about chromosome, right? That what is the structure of chromosome? The chromosome is the sum of this kind in the X shape. So if we talk about the normal chromosome, so this chromosome will be having a stable FMR1 gene. So if the structure of the chromosome is looking normal, that means this is having normal FMR1 gene. But if we talk about the mutation, because just now we discussed, no, that if mutation occurs in FMR1 gene, then this Fragile X syndrome can occur. So when this FMR1 gene mutate, no, so then the structure of chromosome changes, and structure of chromosome becomes something like this. So as you can see that this thing looks like it is about to break. That's why it is present in the fragile region. That's why we call it as Fragile X syndrome. So this is the shape of the normal chromosome, which is having stable FMR1 gene. But this is the shape of the Fragile X chromosome, because it is having some mutated part at the fragile position. That means it looks like it is about to break. So that's why we call it as Fragile X syndrome. Okay, now next thing is this Fragile X syndrome affects boys more than girls. So what is the reason for that? So see, as you already know, if we talk about the number of chromosomes in human body, so we know that a human body have 23 pairs of chromosomes, and these chromosomes are responsible for genetic characteristics. So 23 pair of chromosomes, that means in total human body have 46 chromosomes. Now, if we talk about the difference in girls and boys, so 22 pair of chromosomes will be same in boys also and in girls also. Now, this 23rd pair will be different. So, in boys, if we talk about, so boys have X and Y, and girls have XX chromosome. So, X and Y are the chromosomes for boys, and XX are the chromosomes for the girls. So, if we talk about the boys, so we just now discussed that in this Fragile X syndrome, there will be some defect in the X chromosome. and in boys you have only one X chromosome and next chromosome is Y. So that's why this kind of defect, this kind of thing impacts more boys, because if we talk about girls, so in girls we have two X chromosomes. So even if there is genetic mutation in one chromosome, second stable chromosome can compensate that effect, but this thing cannot be done in case of boys. That's why we say that this kind of syndrome impact boys more than girls. Now, next article discusses whether passport can be used as a proof of citizenship in India or not. So, recently, Ministry of External Affairs have clarified that Indian passport is considered only a travel document in India, and this cannot be used as a proof of citizenship. Why the government has to clarify it? Because see, generally citizens consider that whenever you go for the passport verification, so in that entire process, each and everything is verified, right? That whether you are citizen of India or not, and all the documents are verified. And second thing is, Indian passport is given only to the Indian citizens, right? So indirectly you can say that I have the passport, that means I am the Indian citizen. But here Ministry of External Affairs have clarified that this can be considered only your ID card or only the identity proof, but this cannot be considered as the proof of your citizenship. So in 2018, UPSC has asked one question about Aadhaar. So first of all, let's focus on that question. See, this was the question which was asked in 2018. So the question says, consider the following statements. Aadhaar card can be used as a proof of citizenship or domicile. Second is, once issued, Aadhaar number cannot be deactivated or omitted by the issuing authority. So see, focus on the first statement. First statement is asking very simple thing, whether Aadhaar can be used as a proof of citizenship or domicile or not. So similar thing can be asked for the passport also. So now you know that passport can be used as an ID card, but passport cannot be used as a proof of citizenship in India. Yes. So now let's discuss. So see, since we are saying that Aadhaar cannot be considered as a proof of citizenship, so does still passport have any meaning or not? So answer is yes. So our passport still has any meaning, because see, does this mean passport has no value? So answer will be no. Still passport has some value. How it has some value? Because still passport can serve as a proof of identity. Still passport can serve as a proof of nationality. So for example, if you are traveling in Europe or some Southeast Asian countries, so there passport will serve as a proof of your nationality. And if you have passport, then you have the right to enter as well as leave India. So it's not like passport has no value. Passport can serve as a proof of citizenship, as a proof of nationality, and it also provides you the right to enter as well as right to leave India. Now, since we have discussed that passport cannot be considered as a proof of citizenship, then what are the documents which can be actually considered as a proof of citizenship in India? Now, here you have to tell me in the comment section that there are 5 ways through which citizenship can be acquired in India. So tell me in the comment section that what are those 5 ways through which a person can acquire Indian citizenship. So now let's discuss what all documents can be considered as a proof of citizenship. So all these documents are mentioned under Citizenship Act of 1955. The first is about the natural citizenship proofs. So what can be the natural citizenship proofs? For example, your formal birth certificate. Any formal birth certificate which is issued by any competent authority under Registration of Births and Deaths Act of 1969 can be considered as a proof of citizenship. Next thing is, if your name is mentioned in the national registers of citizens, then also this is a proof of your citizenship. Third thing is certificates of naturalization or registration, which is issued by the Ministry of Home Affairs. So see, if any person is not actually born in India or not the actual citizen of India, and if that person wants to become the citizen of our country, then government has certain kind of procedures. So for example, if that person is living continuously in India for around 12 years, then Ministry of Home Affairs can issue the certificate of naturalization and registration, and this can prove that now that person has become formally the citizen of India. So these are some of the ways through which these are some of the documents which serve as the proof of citizenship. Now, let's quickly discuss about the e-passport, because article discusses about e-passport concept also. So see, what is e-passport? So basically, it's the normal booklet, normal passport, normal physical booklet, which earlier also people used to have. It's normal passport booklet, but it has a small chip also. So this chip contains all your important details. For example, your name, address, biometric details, etc., etc. So see, whenever you enter the airport gate, no, so there the person will scan this chip of your passport, and in this chip everything is entered, no, each and every detail this chip is containing. So all the details in this chip will be matched with all the details which are actually written in the passport. So in this way everything can be done in very hassle free manner, and no, in very less time. So that this is the advantage of chips which are present in the passport. So that's why e-passports are very good. And other, what are the other kind of benefits? So see, it will reduce the forgery also. It will reduce the tampering of e-passports also, because no one can tamper the information which is actually stored in that chip. So these are some of the advantages of e-passport. Now, if we talk about the Passport Seva Divas, so Passport Seva Divas is observed every year on 24th of June. Now, what is the reason? Because this kind of statements can be asked in prelims. Statement 1, Passport Seva Divas is observed every year on 24th of June, and statement 2 can give the reason. So you must know the reason why on every 24th of June we celebrate Passport Seva Divas. So it is celebrated because it commemorates the enactment of Passports Act 1967. So on 24th of June, this Passport Act 1967 was enacted. So that's why we celebrate every year 24th June as Passport Seva Divas. And other thing is, this day is used to review the improvements in passport services and promote citizen-centric reforms. So this year on 24th of June, the government discussed about the e-passports, because e-passports are some of the improvements in the passport services in India. So I think this we already discussed. Now practice question for you. The first question is, which of the following statements are correct? First is, epicenter is the point inside the earth where an earthquake originates. Second is, the focus or the hypocenter is the point within the earth where seismic waves are generated. So try to give answer in the comment section. Next is, the primary purpose of the Indian passport is to, first is, serve as proof of citizenship. Second is, function as a travel document for international travel. Third, act as a proof of domicile, or act as a proof of voting eligibility. So I think we discussed this topic in detail. So try to give answer of this question in the comment section. So that's all from my side for today. Thank you and have a nice day.